Internet. We are in video 3?
Part 3.
Part 3. I'm gonna grab the...
Maybe.
Alright. So, we are asking anonymous question. Oh no, we started... Yeah, we're gonna start with a question we got from Four Fingered Knife Hand. Thank you, William. This is a long question. There is talk of removing negative racial modifiers, example, orcs get a -2 intelligence, from future editions of D&D. The main reasoning is that it promotes racialism / racial profiling. Do you think that is true? If yes, do positive racial modifiers, example, gnomes get a +2 intelligence, also promote racial profiling? If yes, should all modifiers be removed based on the agreement that you neither want to say in general race B is a little less attractive and then average, nor that race C is a little more attractive than average?
Okay, so I've been playing D&D for a long time. I am on my fifth different edition. 6 if you want to count Pathfinder. Yeah. And racial modifiers have changed a lot. Now, I'm assuming he's talking about in Monsters, where it doesn't really make as big a difference to gameplay, because 5th edition has already done away with negative racial modifiers for player characters.
5th edition has?
Yes, there are no minuses. There are only positives. And even now, 5th edition has pretty much gone to, you can pick what you want it to be. Because there's... I haven't read up on it a lot because I don't actually play very much 5th edition, but there's not background, but racial selection things that allow you to just pick where your bonuses are. Do I think that ability modifiers based on race were a negative thing? Yes and no. I absolutely see where you can get that, an elf having higher dexterity than a dwarf is setting a specific kind of stereotype up. And they're building off of what was written about, because it was based on several different fantasy genres at the beginning. That being said, do I think it's unreasonable to say an ogre is stronger than a human on average? No. There are things that it makes sense for, and it's not necessarily a racism type thing. Right. If we want to boil it down, there were editions where being a woman gave you less strength.
Seriously?
Yep.
Gross.
Yep. I do like that they've gotten rid of the negative modifiers. And I feel like that's a good step. And I feel like a lot of the things that they've done recently are good for the overall inclusivity of the game. When I first got the Ghosts of Saltmarsh, which was the first 5th edition book that I ever got. I didn't even have the 3 core books. It was a gift from the kids. And so they didn't, they just looked and said, "Ooh, it's a cool D&D book," and he plays D&D, which is awesome.
Right.
But they had explicitly spelled out diverse things and artwork that was more diverse than I've seen in a long time. I think 5th edition is doing a lot better job, as long as you don't count the halfling art because you showing off my tattoo.
I'm just appreciating the strength of your arms.
But anyway,
This little line.
I don't feel like positive modifiers are a bad thing or lead to stereotyping. I feel like it is a great way to discuss certain bits of culture within that and play against them.
No.
Should an elf be the same as a human? No. There should be a difference there.
Yeah, I mean, like, from what I know of D&D, which is super limited, like, for me, like, I completely understand, you know, I mean, if they'd been like, you know, if you're a black elf or a white elf, you get, you know, but like, you know, if you're a dwarf, you have certain characteristics, because that's who you are, you know, it's different from, you know, like, we're all human, you know, so it's different between, like, you know, oh, well, if you're from the south, you get a -2 modifier, you know, versus, like, you know, if you're an elf and you're, you know, super dexterous or you have natural grace or whatever, versus if you're an ogre, you know, like, I personally don't feel those modifiers are super racist unless, like, it's hard. So like, my character, I have a fire genasi, you know, and I'm also a favored soul, and I get a negative charisma roll for that. Like, I don't feel it's like, oh, well, it's because you're a genasi, you know, and you're black, you know, and so that's why you get a negative. You know, I feel like it's more like, because they're different species, you know, so I look at it as more as like, would I have a higher intelligence modifier than a Labrador? Like, yes. Like, if you're playing a Labrador, you know, or a dog or a cat, or, you know, cats are different. The intelligence modifier would be different. But dogs, like, do I have a higher you know, ability of, like, you know, assessing a situation, retaining, you know, information, and, like,
I feel like
making a decision.
comparing the races to non-sapient animals is not where you want to go with that.
That's fair. I'm trying to make a Earth comparison.
And there isn't one. Like, that's the point. Humans are the only sapient species on the planet that we are able to communicate with in that way.
That way, but we're not the only sentient species.
Sentience and sapience are different things. That's why I said sapient.
But I'm trying to, like, make the comparison from, like obviously we don't have another sentient species to compare to.
And that's why I'm saying you can't make an Earth comparison to it. There is no Earth comparison, because when you start getting into sentience, that, now you're getting into, well, are you calling dwarves dogs? So I just say avoid the subject.
No, that's not what I meant.
I know it's not what you meant.
So yeah, no, that's fair.
Anyway, what I am glad they're getting rid of is the always evil or always good or whatever kind of alignment stuff with it. I feel like alignment has an absolute place in Dungeons and Dragons on an individual basis. But labeling an entire race of people as evil, especially, you know, there are racist overtones
like tieflings.
To tieflings, yes. That there's absolutely racist overtones to that, and there's racist overtones to the Dark Elves, and a lot of stuff.
Are there racist overtones to Genasi?
Not as much, because they're not as common and, like, very
closer to, like, a human.
A lot of what's going on with that is the fiction that has been tied to it. The books and stories that have been written, because there's thousands of D&D books in various settings, and, like, I disagree with Dragonlance as a campaign setting, because I think they've done, like, you wouldn't know anything about it because you've never read.
I love listening to you.
Anyway, Dragonlance, the problem with the setting as a D&D setting is the novels that they've written in there are about world-shattering events and the group of heroes that save the world over and over again and do all these things, and it doesn't leave room for players to run a campaign in.
Okay.
Like Forgotten Realms has that problem to an extent too, but there's enough going on that we'll just go with the most popular option from when I was paying attention, Drizzt Do'Urden. Sure, some of the things he did probably saved the world, but it wasn't a like if he's in Icewind Dale or in Mithril Hall or whatever doing his thing, that doesn't preclude someone else halfway across the world doing what they're doing. Dragonlance always felt like well, if you're not part of the heroes of the Lance, you're not really doing anything important, which is dumb. Anyway, moving on. I can talk about D&D for another 7 hours.
Okay. Where are we? Anon?
Yeah, we have anonymous questions from anonymous donors.
Oh, that one's going to be a long one. And we're already 11 minutes in, so we're going to skip the first one.
Okay.
Describe your most unusual / taboo fantasy.
I mean, taboo is probably kidnapping CNC stuff.
Again, I'm like, it depends on what you define as taboo. So if we're looking at it from the realm of normies, like wanting to be kidnapped and ravaged.
If I grab a partner off the street and throw them in the trunk of my car, someone's going to call the police if they see it.
Right.
Whereas if I have a partner on a collar and leash, I'm going to get a lot of weird looks, but nobody's necessarily going to go, holy crap, he's going to kill that person.
That's fair. Very true. I guess taboo from a normie fantasy is the ingestion of blood. So either, my partner drinks my blood, or I drink their blood, or we drink blood together, like each other's blood at the same time. Yeah, just like the concept of like riding a partner while I suck their blood is like, I've never been able to do that, but it's fucking hot to me. Probably because I've read a lot of vampire books. But yeah, like that whole...
Again, Silas and Delilah Briarwood. If evil,
yeah,
why
I definitely
sexy?
did not get turned on by that at all. I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah. So, that would be my, if you, unusual fantasy. Do you have any kinks that you're ashamed of?
No.
No. Yeah, no, I mean, like, I have a lot of kinks. I have some really fucking kinky kinks. I have some kinks that, might be good for one partner, but not for another, but I don't, like, I couldn't imagine a meaningful relationship with a partner where I couldn't express, kinks that I had. I mean, like, it might not be for them. Let's say I had a partner who was into waterworks. Like, that's not for me. I don't want to drink your pee. I don't want to, have you shit on my chest. Like, that's, I'm not about that. But if I had a partner that was super into that, and there was like, I really, really want you to pee on me. Like, alright, it doesn't do anything for me, but I would do that for you. It doesn't, I don't feel shame about kinks or anything. If it's not for a specific partner, that's fine. If it's, yeah, I can't imagine a relationship, that I would get into where I had to hide or conceal kinks that I had. I mean, like, it's not, if it's not for you, that's fine. You know, but like, not telling them, I just, no. I have no shame. Always, ever, about anything.
It's 15 minutes. You want to do one more, or do you want to
We should probably cut it.
cut it and then start on the big one?
Yeah.
All right.